Hello everyone and welcome to the start of the World Fischer Random Championship or Fischer Random World Championship. It's an event that will, over the next 5 days, decide the fate of the World Chess Championship in Fischer Random. The world champion Wesley So is defending his title, and there are 7 other challengers. 4 of those have qualified through a qualification process, and 4 of them have been decided up front. You have Wesley So, the current World Fischer Random champion, Magnus Carlsen as the previous event runner-up. Then you have Yanni Pomnishi, who was sort of an invitation by FIDE, as FIDE is organizing this event. It's an official FIDE event. And also you have, let me just check so I don't mess it up. Invited by the Icelandic Chess Federation, Hjörvar Stein Gretarsson. So those 4 were invited, and then you have the people who actually qualified for the event: Vladimir Fedoseev, Matthias Bluebaum, Hikaru Nakamura, and Nodirbek Abdusatorov. So they will play each other, two games against each other in the preliminaries, and then they will go into the main event. So it's 25 minutes per player, and then you have 5, but that's only for the first 30 moves, because this Fischer Random, you don't have openings, so you really need time to focus on your moves. Then you will get a nice 5-second increment for every move you make, and you will get an additional 5 minutes, I believe, after you reach that move 30. Also, you will receive 15 minutes before the actual start of the game to analyze the position, because this is the position for the first round. There you have it. It's fairly similar to normal chess, like you have the rook, the knight, the bishop, but then instead of the queen you have the bishop. Then the bishop and the queen are basically swapped, and then this rook and knight are swapped. So a few moves into the game, it will probably resemble normal chess. And the first game, the one that we are showing, is a very, very interesting one. You guys will enjoy it. So let's dive straight into it. And I don't know if I forgot to mention anything about as this is the first round, I like to mention a little bit about the tournament, but I think we covered pretty much everything. If you guys want to know something, just ask, and I will answer it. So okay, Magnus has the white pieces, and he opens with pawn to d4. It's always very, very interesting how the players will play the openings, because they are only presented with the positions they will be playing before starting the game. They have 15 minutes. They have to analyze them with their seconds. I believe they don't have to do it alone, and then they have to figure out how to approach this game. So d4, and okay, Magnus decides on the first move recommended by the engine, and here we have pawn to c5, which is definitely not the first move recommended by the engine, but Vladimir wants to play something funky. Maybe a nice d5, asymmetrical, or e6 would have been something that the engine would appreciate, but okay, this is Fischer Random. Who cares really? Pawn to d5, Magnus grabs more space in the center. We have pawn to e6, and now pawn to e4. Pawn to c4 also possible, like something resembling a Benoni, if you will. And now queen to d6, already a weird move. What is queen to d6? He is developing the queen and already attacking the pawn on h2, but Magnus doesn't really care about that pawn. He just plays knight to c3, and grabbing this pawn does not even win you a pawn. If you grab the pawn, just knight g3 now threatens to win the queen, so you have to start running. Let's say rook to h1, queen has to go back, and now you even pick up the h7 pawn, so you haven't really won anything here. So after knight to c3, knight to g6, and now pawn to f4 by Magnus. We have bishop to a5 now, pinning the knight, and queen to f2. For those of you who are new to Fischer Random, all of the rules are the same as in regular chess, except the rules of castling. Here you can see that the king and rook are on e8 and g8, and normally if you had this position you would not be able to castle, but because the king still hasn't moved and this rook hasn't moved, they can actually just castle. But I will show it to you in very quickly. For example, if white played something like h3 here, Magnus played queen to f2 to actually prepare castling, then you would have something like he captures on d5, and if he captures on d5, black would just castle. The point is, it doesn't matter what the distance is between the black king and the black rook. You could castle even if the king was all the way here and the rook was all the way here. The point is, after they castle, they end up in the exact same position they would be if you were playing regular chess. So that's the main difference. So okay, after bishop to a5, we have queen to f2. Magnus also prepares the castle. E captures on d5, and now we have castles by Magnus. And now, okay, he's given up a pawn. What can Vladimir do? He could capture on c3, that's definitely an option. He could capture on e4, but he wants it all. He plays pawn to d4. He says, I'm keeping the extra pawn, I'm allowing e5, I'm allowing knight to e4, but this, especially against someone like Magnus, this definitely sounds like trouble, because look at this, pawn to e5. Now, okay, if you look, if you got something like queen to c6, then you even allow bishop to f3, and you don't want your queen further harassed. So queen back to e7, and now knight to e4, going after that d6 square. And also, how are you stopping just knight g3, knight to f5, also coming to d6? These are things that you should have considered before pushing this d4 pawn, because even if this was not a Fischer random game, okay, let's say black castles now, okay, now both players have castled, so now it's basically a normal position. Look at this, rook, knight, and bishop occupy normal squares, bishop on a5, queen on e7, so this is a position you could really end up playing, but now if you look at it, it's just a terrible position for black. The pawn's on e5, on f4, the pawn is coming to f5 at some point, the knight, like we said, is coming to f5. You can never push this pawn because just e captures on d6 en passant. So it's really crazy stuff. So knight h to g3, and now what do you play? Also interesting, now you can't even play d5 and e captures, as the knight here is protected. You could play f5 though. f5 is very interesting, because now if you play e captures on f6 en passant, g captures on f6, okay, you've saved yourself a little bit, but now f5. And now you either resign here, or you have to play something like d5, attack the knight, and after captures and captures, now you play bishop to h6, and now you resign as black, because there's really not much you can do here. Whatever you play, even if you move the rook, just knight captures on e4, the queen can never go here because of queen captures on f6, and if something like h captures on g6, you still don't go after the rook. You play knight captures on e4, and now again, yeah, you are without a move here. So okay, after knight h to g3, bishop back to c7, saying, okay, I'm not giving you the d6 square, I'm still gonna see what happens with my pawns. And now Magnus just plays knight f5, attacks the queen here, queen back to d8, and now we have knight f to d6. And now, okay, you have to start capturing some knights here. We have bishop captures, knight captures, and now knight to c6. Magnus plays bishop to e2. He wants to shift the bishop into the attack somehow. That's a weird arrow, into the attack somehow. We have queen to g3 by Magnus. Sorry, first f6, challenging the structure here, but now queen to g3, and this is also beautiful. He's sacrificing another pawn, but if this pawn is accepted, Vladimir would not have a great time here. Then just pawn to f5, and there's really no good square for the knight here. Whatever you play, you're just getting destroyed here. Doesn't really matter. Even if you play knight f4, you even the rook captures on f4, captures. This is just disgusting to play. There's nothing you can do. The bishop can come to c4, to d3. This is so bad for black. So okay, after queen to g3, we have queen to e7, trying to develop a little bit, but now just bishop to c4 with check, king to h8, and now rook to f3. Magnus announcing that there are some very sneaky moves in the position, as I'm sure you guys are already realizing. As soon as the rook was lifted, we have pawn to b5, trying to give up a little bit of material to develop. We have bishop to d5, and now f captures on e5, sort of getting ready for pawn to f5, but maybe, just maybe, there is something better in the position. So feel free to pause the video and try to find the only move that wins by force for Magnus, while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on always looking for that nicest move to play. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, and yes, I will do it in slow motion, it is queen captures on g6. Look at this, beautiful stuff here. And of course, the queen cannot be accepted. So congratulations to everyone who found that. You are a true sacrificer of valuable pieces, because now if the queen is captured, rook to h3 check, queen to h4, and now this is just checkmate as the bishop covers this diagonal, which I announced in the thumbnail. So here rook to f6 was played. Okay, you're down a piece, but maybe you're still fighting, but not really. Just queen to e8 with check, captures, and now again there's really not much for you to do. The rook is hanging. If you go back, then the knight goes back, knight to d6. You still can't develop any of your pieces. So e4, this is a final attempt by Fedoseev to try and save the game, but just knight captures on f6 by Magnus. E captures on f3. We have knight to knight to e4 now, and pawn to c4. So he does have a nice pawn chain here, but just bishop to d2. We have rook to b8, and now we have rook to e1. And he was in this position on move 25 that Vladimir Fedoseev resigned the game, and Magnus Carlsen wins the first game of their match. Another one will be played, so we'll see what happens in that one. The position will remain the same. I believe the positions only change on the second day, and as we will have 5 days of the Fischer Random World Championship, there will be, or rather there should be 5 different positions. I don't know if they mix it up for Armageddon or if for tie breaks, but I will keep you guys informed. But yeah, very nicely done by Magnus. There is also another very nice game that was played in round 1, so we are going to show that one next. I'm sure you guys know which one I'm talking about, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, here you're just down material. There's no compensation here. Doesn't really matter what you do. It's just completely lost for black, and of course Vladimir resigns. But yeah, very nicely done by Magnus. And like I said, I mean, here you can see as soon as black castled in this position, it doesn't matter what type of chess you're playing. It doesn't matter if the rules are the same. You know that you're not surviving this against Magnus Carlsen. Doesn't matter if it's regular chess or Fischer random. Look at your pieces. So yeah, we'll see if Vladimir sticks to this idea of just going c5 and then e6 and then queen to d6. I don't know if it was meant to actually go after the h2 pawn. I don't think so. Sort of just maybe an aggressive approach, but it didn't go all that well. So yeah, that's the first game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And here I can even show you a nice moment when let me just check. I have it somewhere here. When Vladimir resigned, it was I saw it in the live stream. It was a really fine moment because he sort of or rather not glanced. He sort of stared into the distance. Okay, let me just check. Here it is. I'm pretty sure you guys would enjoy seeing this one. Yeah, look at this. So this was yeah, there we go. All right, so there you have it. That Magnus was sort of like staring at him a little bit, and he was like looking in the distance. Maybe he was just checking the scoreboard of the other players, or maybe he was just I don't know. But he was he stood still like this for a couple of seconds, and then he looked at Magnus, and then he was like, "Yes, okay, I resign." So yeah, that's the game. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I would like to thank Joshua Baker, Derek Alex Williams, Stephen Pryor, Seshadri Subramanian, and John Shirtlift for contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check two of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing the coverage of this wonderful event until it finishes. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.